just being fully transparent, I was in a shit place. Just felt kind of stuck. And what's up, YouTube? And welcome back to the channel. The last natty checking in. So it has been 7 days since I've been in the gym. 7 days since I'm doing any type of physical exercise, and the only time I ever do that is when I'm really unwell, and even then I don't think I've ever taken 7 days off from being sick. Having my ACL injury, which I ruptured my ACL back 2012, and traveling. They're the only times I take 7 days off. So the reason I've done that is just, honestly, if I'm just being fully transparent, I was in a shit place. Just felt flat. Just felt kind of stuck and just didn't feel like I wanted to go to the gym. Yeah, it just felt really just crappy with just how, I don't know, just was in my own head. And I say I don't know, but when I was able to really reflect, it's just feeling like, right now, I don't have my priorities straight in the sense of what I want to do with my life. To give a bit of insight, I recently started personal training and I love it. I'm enjoying so much of that line of work, and it just brings me so much joy. And when I reflect and just think about why I was in this rut, and really, because sometimes we may all find ourselves in a really crappy place, and sometimes we know right off the bat it's right in front of us, we can see it, it's clear, and then other times it might be in front of us but we just can't identify it. And I think that was going on for me. So when I really sat and reflected on it, I just felt super overwhelmed with the amount of work I have on my plate and the type of work that I'm doing, and really thinking, is this right now what is best for me? Is this really what I want to do? Is this really what I want to put my time towards, what I really want to focus on? So I guess what I want this video to be about is putting myself back into the driver's seat, putting myself back into a routine, how I'm kind of able to bounce back. So as I mentioned, biggest thing I would always say is to always take the time to slow down. I feel whenever I get stressed out, I feel like my mind is just spinning around, but I can't just focus on a thought. Even though there's so many thoughts in my head, I just can't grab one of those thoughts and sit with it. So I really had the opportunity to sit down and take the time to reflect, and I actually was quite lucky with it because me and my wife went away for the weekend. We were celebrating an anniversary of when we first started dating, but it came at the perfect time because we went up, essentially out, good hour and a half from the suburban areas, and we just had no one around us. It was literally just us in a quiet space, and we were able just to talk and really just have less noise. So that's one of my biggest things I would say straight off the bat. If you're finding yourself overwhelmed, burnt out, take a moment, go somewhere, wherever that is, somewhere that's a safe space where you can just sit, not think about the noise, not have anything on you or have any access to work or anything that's going to kind of make your mind busy, to really sit and reflect. And I guess everyone will go through their own process of reflection, but for me it was identifying, why am I feeling flat? What's going on for me? And I know I've identified, for me right now, got too much on my plate. My workload's a lot right now. So I know I need to put some things in place to make that more manageable. But in the meantime, while I'm addressing that, what are some of my calming strategies? What are the things that are gonna help me put myself more in a just right state? So I got my notebook and I literally wrote down all the things, all the different strategies, all the different things that fill up my cup, things that make me feel grounded. So I was able to identify right off the bat my relationships, especially with my wife, my quality time with the people I care about. I realized in the last week, I hadn't done that. I hadn't gone to see my parents. Usually I drop by to see my dad. I'm able to sometimes chat with my mom. It was such a busy week that I just felt like I thought I had to get all this work done. And before I know it, it's so late that I just haven't had even an opportunity to really sit with my wife. This one person makes me feel so grounded. that I just didn't have the chance to sit and talk with her because she was off to bed. So it was almost like, ships in the night. I haven't spoken to some of my best friends in such a long time, I haven't seen them for a little bit. So I know I need to prioritize that. I need to make more of a conscious effort to somehow make time for my relationships and my connections, because these are the people that help me feel re-energized. So that was the one thing I identified right off the bat. Second thing I also identified was my actual gym. Like, I kept telling myself, like, no, I don't want to go to the gym, but you know what? I know how important exercise is for, exercise started off for me at first for the aesthetics, and it still is about the aesthetics, don't get me wrong, but it is medicine. Movement is so good for us when it comes to our physical injuries, building strength, longevity of our health, but it's so important for our mental health. And last night was my first session back after the 7 days, and I felt so good just being in there. And I was with my personal trainer, so again, he's a really good an important person in my life, someone that I identify as a relationship that fills my cup up. So I got, killed two birds with one stone. I was able to see someone that really brings a lot of joy in my life, but then doing something that I know, moving my body, that is medicine. So I said to myself, Jason, you gotta go. I don't care. You will always find work to do. Always. No matter if you finish all your work, if you really want to, you always find something to do. So I told myself, no, Jace, you're gonna go to the gym. And it was the best thing. And just moving my body, I just felt so good during and so good afterwards. So I know that I need to keep that consistent. I need to keep that going. I was lucky that this week, it just so happened to be a coincidence that me and my wife had booked a weekend away, which was the perfect time to, again, have that quality time with the most important person in my life. But then also reflect and talk about out loud all the positives in our lives, all the things that bring us joy, all the things that we're so happy with. One being, we were talking about our wedding. I know I've harped on about the wedding for goodness how long in these YouTube videos, but it truly was such a special day that brought us so much joy. So reflecting on our lives, what are the good things that we've got going on? Sometimes we get so caught up in the negatives and what's going wrong with us and what's hard in our life, but I bet you if you sit down, and I was able to do this, you can identify, I'm sure you're going to identify at least 3 positives, 3 things that you're grateful for, 3 things that truly bring you happiness and grounding and joy. I bet you if you sit down and you really think about it, you write it down, you speak about it, that allows you to bring more of those positive thoughts to the front of your brain and not let those negative thoughts be the only ones in our brain, right? Or the front of our brain. Not letting those negative thoughts get too crowded. And we bring more of those positive thoughts to our thinking brain, to our consciousness, it can have a huge effect on your affect and your mood. And I definitely found that was a huge benefit, just drawing on and really thinking about what are the positives, what are they that are going on in my life. The other thing that me and my wife spoke about, and we talk about it quite a bit actually, is that we're not always going to feel 100%. And that's okay. The important thing is, how can we bounce back? How can we have more a growth mindset and think, all right, success, joy, it's never like this straight linear kind of thing. It's going to be, up and down, side to side. It's never a straight trajectory. And when we can almost accept that and better understand that, it makes it much easier to bounce back. So I was, again, reflecting and thinking, Jace, it's not always going to be perfect. And right now, or the week before, it wasn't a perfect week. You weren't feeling great. But knowing that can make it much easier to course correct and put yourself back on track. While sitting with my wife and being on this great weekend away, she really got me thinking as well about, what do I want? What do I actually want? What goals do I want to set? What do I want to prioritize? I've talked about with the wedding that we have fitness goals, but sometimes we get in this almost not mundane, you almost get stuck in the consistency of life and you just go into the flow of things and you kind of don't really set goals for yourself, whether it's just your day-to-day kind of life. And my wife really got me thinking about, okay, you really want to pursue the personal training. What can we do to, build that for you, Jace? What can we do what goals can we set? What things can you put in place? My wife literally scripted up this spiel, and we made this really cool poster of it, essentially advertising me as a personal trainer, having that goal in place, and then thinking of what's one thing I can do each day, what's one thing I can implement on a consistent basis to achieve this goal. And even just creating this poster, advertising myself while we were away, that was so exciting. I felt like, I had that positive energy. So having that mindset, or thinking about what's a goal you can aim for your day-to-day life, can be a really great way to rejuvenate you and put you in a more positive mindset, especially when that goal is meaningful and important. When something's meaningful and important to us, that brings us more joy. Even if there's a process to get to that goal, it has value. So being able to reflect and think, what is my goal right now? What do I actually want to get out of life, essentially? Which is such a, philosophical question, but really, what do I want right now, and how can I get there? That in itself was a really great way to help me just reset my mood, reset my mindset, and help me start, and not have another negative 7 days, but set myself back on track. But really, for me, is not always prioritizing work. And I don't mean that I don't do my role, I don't do my job, because I enjoy the work I do, but not letting it consume me and consume my entire day. I think that's what I got stuck in the mentality of in the week. And I've had people in my life who have been maybe not the best role models in that work-life balance, but really reflecting and thinking, you know what, Jace, the work will get done. As long as we're doing the core work, all the rest of it will fall in place. Don't let, it become so consuming and thinking about it, from morning to night, that, because it becomes overwhelming. It becomes toxic in your mind. So I've really tried to tell myself, no, you are going to prioritize the things that we've listed, that you talked about, that really fill up my cup. So this workout that you're watching now, this is my second workout. This is filming right now as we are chatting. This is me doing my workout now. I'm also going to show you a bit of my current physique, just to give you a bit of a life update, to show you even with a week off, even with not being on top of my A game, that this is what I'm looking. And you know what? That's okay. Whatever this is, I don't know yet. I haven't been to the gym yet, but this is what it looks like, and we're gonna go on from there. We're gonna work from this point. So I love my gym, and I'm just gonna keep on going each day. If I can do something, if I get my body moving, I know that is medicine, and I know that's why I preach to my clients as a personal trainer. So that's why I just need to remind myself. Hopefully, maybe any of you who kind of feel stuck with whatever's going on in your life, I hope that maybe there was, some relatability, maybe there was some tips in here, something that you can draw on from, that is helping me to get me back in a little bit more on the right pathway, a bit more on a positive path. Hope this video was able to help you guys in some way, shape or form. Anyway, last, Natty, checking out. I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.